Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Carrington. I am so glad that you have found me and this video. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure you guys have subscribed and click the little bell. Also, if you enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and let's dive on into my haul. This haul is not as big as some of the other hauls that I had done, but I do have some more new books that I would like to share with you. Some of them are books that you have seen previously, but I'll explain why they're in this again, because you have seen these books, but you haven't. If that makes sense, and if not, it will. But I have 37 books to share with you guys, so let's go ahead and let's just dive right on in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kick things off with the Jodi Picoult books that I bought. I generally, for the most part, own all of these books. I do. But I bought them again because this time it is going to be in hardback. I love hardback, and I love that so much more than I do paperbacks. And because I love Jodi Picoult so much, I want to try to take all of the books that I can and turn them into hardcovers. So this one is A Spark of Light. This is when a Planned Parenthood is being held at gunpoint. People are being held hostage. And this book is really interestingly written because it goes backwards in time. Instead of going forward to the end, it literally starts at the end and goes backward. And it just like talks about how everybody was there, how everyone got there, including the shooter, their past life, things like that. And it's just a very good, very eye-opening book, like most of Jodi Picoult's books. Okay, let's just be honest, they just are. The next one is going to be Salem Falls. This is about a teacher that is teaching up in this really small town, and he's starting to fall in love with somebody when a group of girls accuses him of having inappropriate relationships with him, and now he's on a quest to like prove his innocence. But in doing so, he realizes that this town is literally full of lies. That there's a dishwasher who they said had a PhD is literally just like an ex-con, and it just seems like everybody around them has a lie to them. And then it just turns out that like these accusations have been said before, and so now it's all about like trying to prove its innocence while being forced to go to jail, while also trying to like realize that everybody in the town is lying. It's a very trippy book. It's really, really good. Again, I have read that before. It's good. The next one is going to be Vanishing Acts. This is about a woman who seemingly seems like she has like this perfect life. She was raised by her widowed father, and in her life she has this wonderful husband. She's got a bloodhound that she uses for work to find missing bodies, but she just keeps getting these flashbacks that feel very real to her, but she can't recall much of anything about it until one day a policeman knocks up at her door and gives her a secret or some information about her that she had no idea. So now she's trying to just like unravel her life, what she thought she knew, but at the same time it's putting those and those she loves in danger as well. The next one is going to be a Perfect Match. This follows a small family. It's a mom and dad and a son. The mom works with child abuse victims. A lot of them are SA'd, that are generally the clientele that she enjoys working with, until one day it is her son who is a victim, and now because of the trauma he is completely mute. He is unable to give any details, and now it's really starting to tear the family apart, because now Nina is really struggling with what does it look like to be a good mom. What would that look like in like the face of, you know, adversity? And now her husband is just so torn because the life that he had is just now getting like infinitely harder, and he's really upset about that. So it's just kind of all about like trying to figure out who did this to her son, how to be the best mom, wife, while the family is slowly falling apart, and trying to put all the pieces together. Plain Truth is such a good book, and I think this was turned into a movie or maybe a Lifetime movie. I can't remember. I usually just enjoy her book so much more than I do anything that they put onto TV. I'm so sorry. But like My Sister's Keeper, they did the ending so wrong. It was terrible. But anyways, so on this, it is about a Amish woman who gives birth in a barn, and their baby is left for dead. Now they are trying to prosecute her, and an attorney is taking on her case even though she can't afford to pay, and a lot of like lies and secrets about the Amish are coming to light and what really happened that day. So this was a really good book. Again, I've read this before, and I think it was a movie, maybe like a Lifetime movie, but again, Jodi Picoult and the way she writes is just so good. That was a really, really good book. Next is going to be Change of Heart. This is really, really good. Oh man, this book was so good. I read this on my honeymoon. Oh gosh, a long time ago now. I got married in 2013, so over 10 years ago. And I still think about this book. It's so good. This is about a convicted killer who is going to be set on death row, and now he's trying to find like his chance at salvation, and the only way he can do this is through a woman's 11-year-old daughter. And so it just kind of talks about like the secrets and everything that unfolds, and why, you know, he is innocent or should be innocent, or whatever the case may be. This book was really, really, really good, and at the end it really makes you think. It really has you thinking, and that's what I love about Jodi Picoult, and this book was absolutely one of those. The next one is going to be, this is off the page, and I have the one called Between the Lines, or Reading in Between the Lines, or something like that she wrote with her daughter, and this is just kind of like a sequel to it. It's just kind of like a fun young adult romance, kind of cheesy type of storyline, but if it's Jodi Picoult, I'm going to read it no matter what, so I purchased that. The next one is going to be Wish You Were Here. I bought this again in a hardcover. I literally already read the paperback. I read that in August. I have ranked that book. But this is, again, just such a good book. This is about, a couple. One of them is a doctor in residency school. And now COVID has hit, and they had this whole entire trip booked, and she was hoping that he was going to propose to her on it. And he was like, well, I think you should go by yourself. You know, I'm not going to be able to leave. The hospital here is too crazy. People are sick. People are dying. I just don't have the ability to leave. So she ends up going. And when she's there, everything shuts down. She has nowhere to go. She has no way to leave the island now. And she can't speak the native language. And so she's trying to like figure out a name for herself, or not really a name for herself. She's just trying to make it through until things open back up. And her cell phone doesn't have very good reception. She has to like literally hope that when she looks at it that she might have good reception, and she'll get like letters from her significant other, you know, talking about how terrible everything is back home, and how her being on this island is just markedly different because nobody's sick here. Everything's going really well. And then when she finally gets back home, she has to grapple with like who she is, and like how that trip had like changed her life, and how her and her husband, or fiance, I guess, or not even fiance, boyfriend, are just kind of going off in opposite directions. This is going to be called Keeping Faith. This is about a mother and daughter after the mother finds her now ex-husband cheating on her again. She splits up. Her mother falls into like this really deep depression, and now her daughter is suddenly able to recite passages from the Bible and claims that she can see God. And the mom thinks that like her daughter might be not coping very well with this like divorce news either, so is trying to get her into therapy. And she's never ever read the Bible, but she can quote so many things out of the Bible. And now they're like stuck in between people who are like believers and non-believers, and just trying to get to the truth of like what's really, really going on with her daughter. This was a really, really good book, and again, so thought-provoking, and that's what I love the most about Jodi Picoult. I'm just going to be honest, I just love how thought-provoking she is. So that brings us to the last one in the Jodi Picoult section, which is going to be Small Great Things. I already own this. I read this previously. I have talked about this in previous videos, and this I just got into, again, hardback. But this is about a Black nurse, and it talks about like her childhood, her upbringing, how she got to be a nurse, how she is a widowed single mother, and how she has been working in labor and delivery for a really long time. She is one of the best nurses that they have. And then a white supremacist family comes in and throws her off of their case. But when the baby dies, when she's the only one there, now she has to go to court. Did she intentionally not do anything to help the baby because they were white supremacists and she was Black? And it just has like a whole lot of like questions, and a lot of other things that just go on within that book. And again, very, very thought-provoking. The next 3 books are all going to be in a series. This is like the Janie, the Face on the Milk Carton series. So these are the last 3. I think there's only 5 in the whole series. But basically, Janie, was drinking milk one day at school and noticed on the back of a milk carton looks like a picture of her as a little girl. That's when she finds out that her life has always been a lie, that her parents that she thought was her parents were never her parents. She was stolen. And so it just kind of goes about the progression of how, she had found herself, how she was trying to turn herself into the police, get help, and then how her life is just, the rest of these are just kind of how her life is just moving on from there. What life is now looking like for her, how she's like overcoming the struggles with being placed with her, her original parents that she can't remember anything about, just stuff like that. It just sounds really good. I love series like that where there's, well, I don't want to say I love this because I don't know if I will or not, but it sounds like something up my alley. So next are going to be all of these little books by Maureen Johnson. There's like, they say 4, and when I went on Amazon, it says 4, but I had the one over there, 9 Lives, because I thought it was going to be part of another series, and then it said this was the 5th book in the installment, so I just purchased all the rest of these. So basically, it's just kind of like murder mysteries, and like every book, they're trying to solve like another murder. I think these are like really like young adult based, which is totally fine with me. I have a wide range of things that I will read, and I will read young adult, okay? Like, I'm not above that. So that's kind of the only gist that I'm really getting from like reading the backs of them, like synopsis is like each one is like a new murder or trying to solve all the murders. So, I love a good murder crime, so I'm here for it, but yes. These next books you have seen from me 100%. It was in my last haul, but then I realized I wanted them to be really nice books. So I went ahead and I bought them again. This is September Sacrifice, a new version. All the pages are nice and clean, not bent, not weird stuff on them. And this is about a woman who tells her coworkers, if I don't show up for work, if I go missing, if I don't call in, anything like that, know that I was probably murdered by my husband. And then that happens. And so it's like a search to just like find her and like bring justice for her. The next one is going to be that book Columbine by David Cullen. Again, I just got this in a hardback book. I'm really excited about that. I got this in hardback and again new. And again, this just goes over like the whole entire Columbine case. It starts with, things in their diaries that they had recorded. I think they had like a YouTube channel or something like that. I think that was mentioned in here when I was just skimming through. Or maybe not, but did they? I don't know. They had some kind of like platform that they were like streaming on. I could have sworn it was YouTube, but it could have been something else. And it just like talks about like the things that were happening before, the day of, and then like the after effects. And so I'm really excited to read that. And then the last two are going to be where I bought new books of the 16th Round and Hurricane. This is about Reuben Carter. I got this one in hardback. This one didn't come in hardback. But this is about Reuben Carter, who was convicted of murdering 3 people, and he had tried to reclaim his innocence for so long, and finally a family from Canada comes together and helps him try to like prove his innocence. So one book is from Reuben's point of view, and then the other one is actually like a scholarly, like a scholar, and he goes through all of the evidence and kind of points out what happens in his life. So I'm really excited to read those because I loved the movie The Hurricane with Denzel Washington. That was such a good movie. So I cannot wait to read the books. Then we're going to get into some more like Disney twisted tales that I have gotten. So I have this book right here called Blvd. This is a like twisted tale of Brave, and in this book it talks about how she has to go to like all these different kingdoms to try to like save her family while also being like put in danger, and the usual of the usualness. The next Disney one is going to be The Wicked Ones by Robin Benway. This is going to be about Anastasia and Drusilla and how they are under her mother's reign, under her mother's control, and how they're really tired of living that way. But then they do get a whiff of what life might be like without her. So then they set the plans in motion of making that happen. And see what life is going to be like without her. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to be about. The next one is going to be Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. So this is Sally and Jack are now married. And Sally was really excited for this, but now she feels like with being thrown in the spotlight, all the queen duties she has to do for Halloween Town, that she feels like maybe she had made the wrong choice, that leaving Dr. Finkelstein was a terrible decision. And so her and Zero then go on a quest and end up in Dreamtown. And now all of the horrors are unraveling, and she needs to try to save Halloween Town now, while also trying to figure out what's going to be best for her in her life. The last Disney one is going to be Prince of Song and Sea. This is about where Eric's mom has died, and he is under a curse. So his curse that was made by the Sea Witch is that he either has to kiss his true love or he dies. So now all of the other kingdoms are trying to move into their shore now that his mother has died, and hears about that getting a kiss is what could potentially end him if it's not his true love. And so they're trying to set that in motion. Now Eric is trying to find the evil Sea Witch to bring justice and break the curse, but then he meets someone who has a very beautiful song voice. And so now he has to decide to keep going with that, or is this going to be the woman that's made of a pure heart that's going to break the curse if he kisses her. The next book is going to be Mind by Courtney Cole. So this is about a woman who discovers that her husband is cheating on her with this beautiful bombshell Instagram looking type model. And her husband then leaves to go out on a trip, but a hurricane is coming. So she decides, well, do I just sit here and wait until he comes back and end it, or do I try to take matters into my own hands? She decides she wants to take matters into her own hands, so she lures that woman into her home, and now none of them can leave because of the storm, and they are two very well-matched opponents. So who is going to make it out? Next, we have The Coworker by Frida McFadden. This is about a coworker who in the company, she's seen as kind of weird. Everyone just kind of ignores her. But then one day she goes completely and totally missing. And now Natalie, who is one of the top 5 in the company, always super successful, everyone loves her, is trying to find out what happened to her. And as she does so, she realizes that somebody was out to get Dawn, and now somebody's out to get her. But who is it? And what is it that Dawn did that made them want to come after her? So it's a cat and mouse game that's like solving the mystery of who killed who. Then I picked up Phantom Limb by Lucinda Berry because I love Lucinda Berry. I had just read A Perfect Child this month and I was hooked, so I knew I needed to pick this up. So these are about 2 girls who in their childhood had a very rough childhood. Their mom was an alcoholic and frequently abused them. Then they are rescued by a family, and soon one of the twins, Elizabeth, wakes up in a hospital. She has no idea what is happening. She has no idea what's going on. She has no idea where her sister is. She does not know any of this. And now she's in the psych ward following this. So she is needing to try to recall and remember what had happened. And that's going to bring up some really deep and dark things from her past that she had long since tried to bury. But is she going to be able to remember in time to be able to save her other twin, or be able to bring whoever had hurt her to justice? Next, we have The Whisper Man by Alex North. This is about a father and his son, Jake, who are ready to kind of start fresh after, some things that happened in their past. So they move to this new town. And in this town, previously, many years before, little boys were being taken out of their window because it said that the person that had killed them came up to their window and whispered in their window to lure them out. And that man had been caught. So now they moved into this town, and now another little boy vanished that seemed very similar to those of the other boys that had vanished. But then Jake starts acting really strangely as well, and then he admits that he heard a whisper outside of his own window. So now the mystery needs to be solved before it's too late. The next one is going to be Ghost at a Watchman by Harper Lee. If you have ever read To Kill a Mockingbird, this is the sequel to it. Yes, because it comes after. So sequel. This is a sequel. This is now where Scout is now 20 years old. She's coming from New York to come back and visit her father during the civil rights tension. As she begins talking to her father and her childhood memories come flooding back and she's asking questions, she really starts to question what her true values were, and if what happened previously was the right thing to do, like if Atticus had represented the man to the best of his ability, or not, or was there more to the story. So I'm really excited because I really, really love To Kill a Mockingbird. I still have that book. I still own it to this day. I have read it, numerous times. It's a really, really good book. So I'm really excited to try this one. This next one is going to be Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. So this is about Emma, who is about ready to turn 40, and suddenly she just can no longer sleep. She's really struggling with being able to sleep, and then she's slowly starting to slip into madness. But the thing is that the same thing happened to her mother whenever she was getting ready to turn 40, and then the unthinkable happened because of that. So now she is trying to figure out her past, figure out what's going on before the unthinkable happens again. This next one is going to be Ask for Andrea. This has been blowing up all over TikTok. And so this is going to be about a man who has went and murdered 3 women, and now somebody needs to stop him. And it just turns out that the 3 women are the ones who are going to stop him. So they come back, they find each other in the afterlife. They come back as ghosts. They might be dead, they might be ghosts, but they come back to get their revenge on him. Then we have Room Service by Maren Stoffels. This was my book drop last month, which is kind of like a date with a blind date with a book, because you don't know what you're going to get. You just get a book that is in the general category of what you would want. So mine is usually thrillers. So this is Room Service. This is about a family who comes to a hotel, and they are just trying to make it through the night because a year ago something had happened, and they just want to make it through the night without anything that happened last year to happen. But now they're starting to get messages written on their door, on their walls, because somebody knows exactly what happened last year and is trying to out them while they're trying to cover the secrets and just make it through this weekend. Next is going to be Mine by Delilah S. Dawson. This is about a girl who has to leave her town because of the way that she had been acting at this other school. Her parents are like, okay, we're moving, but no more theatrics, no more doing what you're doing. We cannot have you being kicked out of schools for not listening, not, whatever the case may be, doing whatever it is that you're doing. So when they move into this new house, they find out, she thinks that there's a ghost of the little girl who used to live there. And now really, really creepy things are really starting to happen, and she's needing to really crack the case before anything sinister takes over. The last 2 books are going to be by the same author, and that's going to be Bentley Little. And the first one is going to be called The Store. So this is about a store that is in the middle of nowhere, where you can buy anything and everything, kind of like Walmart, but really, really, really good prices. The unfortunate part though is it really requires something of the customers. What that is, I don't know. So this man is really there's something evil going on in the store. I don't know what it is, but something creepy is going on. But his daughters are now old enough that they're wanting to start looking for a job while they're at school. So he can't really say no whenever they get the opportunity to work at this store. But now they're starting to really fall under this almost like a spell or this cult type of thing that is whatever it is that's going on. And so now Bill is trying to figure out what is happening, but he may end up getting a lot more than he bargained for. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. That brings us to our last book, which is called The Haunted. Honestly, whenever I heard about what this was about, it almost kind of gave me American Horror Story Monster House vibes. Of course I haven't read it, so I can't say, but just from the synopsis, it almost kind of sounds like this. So this is about a family that goes and moves into this home that's in this district, and then they just start realizing that people don't ever want to come and visit. Nobody ever comes to their house. Then they also are noticing some other weird things. The dad is now experiencing nightmares, and the mom always feels like she's being watched. Well, one day when they go down to the basement, they see this thing in the basement that's kind of sits there in the corner. And then it slowly kind of just crawls towards you slowly over time. But now whatever's in the basement is starting to make its way out of the basement. So, they've got to figure that out as well. So that just kind of gave me American Horror Story Monster House vibes. Of course, I haven't read it yet, so can't say definitively, but that sounds really, really good. So a book that I did download that is on my Kindle, so I guess I have 38 books, is going to be Manacled. This is a Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy, Hermione kind of a book, and it has similar themes to The Handmaid's Tale. But I've heard this book has had so many people in emotion. So I did went and I downloaded that. You can't buy a physical copy, or else I would have. You can't just get it on like Kindle or Audible or anything like that. So you have to like go and like find it. Just go to TikTok. They'll tell you how to find it. That's what I had to do. I don't want to give the wrong instructions because I will mess it up without watching the TikTok. For all 37 of the books that I have recently bought, let me know if you guys have bought any books recently. I feel like I need to go on like just a no buy at this point. A no buy of books, makeup, everything. I want to see if I can make it 3 months, but we'll never know. We'll never know. Let me know what you guys think of any of these books. Are you guys going to pick any of these up? Do you have any of these books? Have you read any of these books? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. If you have not yet hit that subscribe button, I absolutely invite you to do so. Don't forget to click the little bell so you're notified of more future uploads. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!